Ryan Williams, you have to say he's 17 years old, made two.
And then 17-year-old Alabama wide receiver Ryan Williams had an all-time highlight reel.
Connects with a 17-year-old straight out of high school.
The 17-year-old sensation, the freshman, they played an unbelievable ball game.
And for a 17-year-old guy, this guy is explosive. He's got great hands. He can run out.
Ryan Williams, look at this kid, 17 years old and on top of the
world. For a 17-year-old, his humility, his work ethic, and it's all based on the fact that he loves ball.
Randy, Ryan Williams, 17 years old, look at the play.
Ooh, Ryan Williams, the 17-year-old, 31 yards.
The 17-year-old, I think that was our cold open. How many times are they going to mention he's 17?
Come on, man.
How many times?
I mean, it's almost a prerequisite at this time. But before you say anything about Ryan Williams, you have to mention he's 17 years old.
Honestly, I feel like you could just say 17 and people will know exactly what you're talking about.
Hey, man, at this point, it doesn't matter how old he is. The things he's doing on a football field is just ridiculous for whatever age. We'll get into that, though. But, hey, man, it's been a packed week of college football. We got a lot to talk about. Pump isn't here. We'll hold it down for him. Would love for him to be here to kind of share my sorrow in what's happening in Tallahassee. We won't talk a lot about my Seminoles. There's nothing to talk about up there. You know, your Canes are doing good. One of the best games in the last couple of years maybe happened this past weekend.
Big time game.
Yeah, that was a great game. There was an upset this past weekend. So there's a lot to talk about. And at this point, I feel like this show has become heavy on the college football. I feel like if you're not stopping in just to watch on a week-to-week basis and you're a college football fan, what are you doing with your life? Because it's literally packed full of, great content. We're very knowledgeable about the sport. So, if you're not stopping in just to get the college football content, what are you doing with your life?
That's a great question. What are you doing? We're coming, but we're talking college football. We touch NFL. There's a lot of places you're not getting both, unless you're listening to that garbage that be on ESPN or whatever like that. We're talking college football and NFL all right here. It's a one-stop shop. We all here.
Might get a little bit of X game from time to time too.
Hey, I'm definitely gonna come in with some X games at some point.
All right. Well, before we jump into it, let's shout out our sponsors. Welcome one, welcome all, welcome near, welcome far. Welcome to the world's greatest sports podcast. The Somebody Said podcast, where I said we talk heavy on the college football, heavy NFL. Asha don't have a gripe this week. You typically get an Asha's gripe. You get everything you need. Let's shout out our sponsors first and foremost. The Red Lady Rum Punch, the official beverage of the Somebody Said podcast. Drink it, sip it, pop it, enjoy it. They have 81 different locations from here to Georgia. Check them out. Also, we are sponsored by Window to Wall Solution, where they build a dream home for a reality price. From the trap to the top, they got you. If you need something built, check them out on Instagram at Window to Wall Solutions, I believe.
Yeah.
Check them out.
Yep, Window to Wall Solutions on Instagram. Also, man, shout out to everybody who's dealing with the effects of the storm surge and all of that. Hit me up. I got people who can do work, whatever you need. Concrete mason, windows, drywall, interior, whatever. We got all that. Window to Wall Solutions set us up.
And I got the concrete, so hit me up too.
Concrete man.
Also, check out the website, sspsports.com. There hasn't been an article. I'm surprised you're not letting the articles fly. This is the way your season is going right now. I'm surprised you're not putting out 2 articles a week.
Man, I got to commit to sitting and writing them, man. I got some good ideas, though, because there's some topics, and obviously, like, we don't dig too deep into Miami, like, on this show. Especially, I be feeling like a jerk if I try and do it because y'all going through some tough times. But I got some angles on this Miami Hurricanes team that I don't think a lot of people are touching on. I need to just sit down and just like write some articles, man. Because
Hey,
I
man.
think there are some things below, like beyond just them winning. I think there's some pretty cool storylines that people aren't, really talking about, and I feel like they should be.
I mean, if not for us, you could write it. I'm sure Canes fans would love to jump on the website and check out your articles because, they're having a great season. Even Danielle could even jump on. We just haven't had anything on that website. But I personally have to get on there because I got a lot to get off my chest with my nose. I'm a negative guy when things aren't going right. I have a lot of angles as well. So check out our websites.
Yeah.
There's articles up there that we've done in the past. You could also hop on, create your own profile, and create an article as well. If you want to talk about DJU, you talk about DJU. If you're a Colorado fan, we don't discriminate. It's not just for Florida teams. You can jump on and talk about whatever you want to talk about in terms of sports. So check out the website at sspsports.com. Also, check us out on YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube at Somebody Said Sports. Like, share, and subscribe. Hop on the live, comment. Just check us out and share it with a friend. Also, check us out on Instagram at Somebody Said Podcast. And check us out at Twitter at Somebody Said Pod. I think I got everything out the way. I think
it's a pretty good job.
I might have to start breaking that up within the episode. I feel like it's just a lot. You build up the hype for the show, and then you got to take care of some house cleaning before you jump right into it. So we'll figure that out down the line. Where do we want to start, man? Where do we want to start?
I feel like you got to start at the top, man. Game of the year so far.
Don't tease
marquee game. They don't get no better, man. Like it doesn't get any bigger than the game we saw. We knew going into it, it was, two juggernauts, premier programs.
Can I be honest?
Football the last decade.
Can I be honest before you jump into it?
Oh boy,
I didn't watch.
Oh boy,
I didn't watch.
What do you mean you didn't watch?
I'm so loyal to my nose that I was watching that game the entire time. I eventually went back and watched the game. I rewatched the game in its entirety. So I did watch, but not in the moment. So I wasn't, how everybody's tweeting about it. Even at one point, you tweeted, "What am I watching right now?" So everybody was on Twitter going crazy about this game, and all while that's happening, I'm watching my nose get kicked in, get their teeth kicked in by SMU.
You gotta go multiple screens, bro. Like this, you know what time it is, man. Like it's put some on the phone, put on the TV, put some on the phone, put it on the laptop. Like you gotta have multiple devices going. I'm not gonna lie, it was a point Saturday where I was watching 6 different games at once. I had the quad box on the TV, I had the iPad on Fox, and I had something else on my phone. It's just that time of year, bro. You got to have all the games going. I got at least 4 games going at all times on Saturday. This game is a can't miss.
Yeah, I could do that, just not when my nose is playing, unfortunately, regardless of what it is. But yeah, let's jump into this game, man. The Georgia Bulldogs. And before we get into it, I believe we all called Georgia last week, right? Yeah, you had somewhat of a pushback on it because, I believe you had somewhat of a pushback because of the DNA of Alabama. But I think we all called Georgia in this one. And for me, simply because of what happened in the SEC championship. And, knowing Kirby like we do, he was going to get these guys up for this game. And the fact that they went out there and got down by 17 points early, it didn't look like the typical Georgia Bulldogs that we normally see that's prepared. They didn't look prepared for this game. And they almost got caught off guard, man. What did you see in this game as far as what made it such an early shocker before Georgia ended up coming back to make it a game?
I think you just touched on the thing that was the most shocking is the fact that Georgia just didn't come out the gate looking ready prepared to play a big time game. Like they looked like they were like they had sticker shock, like they weren't mentally ready to play that game. Like Alabama was the sharper team. They looked like the more prepared team, and they had a better game plan. Georgia seemed like they had, just gotten off a 5-hour flight. Like they had jet lag or something. They were not sharp starting this game. And you look up and all of a sudden it's like, oh, snap. They getting 21 skunk.
Yeah, it's
like actually 28. And I'm like, what am I watching? Like, I've never seen a Georgia team look so unprepared to play in a big game. I was floored.
It's crazy though, because we've seen Kirby get them up for Sam Houston State, and this is the game. They beat you in the SEC championship. They kept you from winning another national championship. You would think this is the one they had circled. So that was shocking. And then another thing that was kind of shocking to me is how Carson Beck played early on. For him to be the potential Heisman front runner, so to speak, or a Heisman hopeful, and the first overall draft pick, you go out there, throw 3 interceptions, and looked like you were the lesser quarterback. Not look like you were the lesser quarterback. As much gripe as I give Jalen Milroe, he was the better quarterback out there, and we kind of have to put Carson Beck under the microscope now and actually analyze his game. And is it one of those things where he's been too overhyped at this point based on the team that he plays on?
I mean, I don't know if he's being too overhyped. It's just weird that you got such differences or such variability in performance, right? Like you said, come out, he throws, a couple of picks early, just not dialed in, not locked in, not sharp. But then in the second half, he's the reason they were able to march back. He was the engine that marched them back. Now, I heard some other people mention, and I agree, the offense had a little more balance in the second half. The fact they came out and they were like solely throwing the ball, I wasn't prepared for that, and I think they did themselves a disservice. But Carson Beck, while he was a big part of the reason why they were in the hole they were in, he was also a big part of why they were able to come back. Same thing on the defense. Defense came out and couldn't stop nothing.
It's not a Georgia-like defense.
That was about.
Yeah.
No, and against, some young receivers who, 17-year-old Ryan Williams. Yeah, he's incredible, but at the same time, like, you're Georgia's defense. Like, you're Georgia. Like, I don't care who he is. You should be able to do better than that. And the fact they couldn't stop the Jalen Milroe run, I'm like, y'all weren't prepared for Jalen Milroe to run the ball? Like, they just seem like they were in over their heads early in that game, and I don't know if I've ever seen a Kirby team look like that.
I was listening to a podcast today where they said that the Georgia defense was playing Jalen Milroe as if they didn't know how fast he was. He was just turning the corner so easy on them, and it's like they weren't used to his speed. I don't know what that is.
You just played him.
Exactly. Like, how fast
you just played him like 10 months ago. Like, you saw firsthand on the field what his speed looked like. So I don't understand that. And also, why wouldn't you come out and load the box and dare him to beat you throwing? Yeah, Ryan Williams going to get his. He might hit you for a couple of big plays. But why are you not forcing him to beat you with his arm? Because he will kill you with his legs. He can beat you with his arm, but he'll kill you with his legs if you let him.
Right. No, I agree. And to preview this game, that was one of my keys, was force him to play quarterback. I think that's just been my thing about Jalen Milroe, since last year. You got to force him to show that he can make the throws. Yeah, he threw it up to Ryan Williams a couple times, and he's 17, but he's elite. He's going to make a play on that ball, But, yeah, this was a disappointing game for Georgia, because they still are the better team. If you take away – obviously, you take away Ryan Williams, that's a big part of that Alabama offense. I think Georgia has a lot more to work with moving forward. Trevor Etienne, he has to step up. As a Georgia back, 55 yards on 12 carries ain't gonna get it done. You gotta you gotta be a difference maker.
But why does he only have 12 carries is my question. Like, why would you not come out? This Alabama defense has shown that it can be had in the run game if you're physical with them. USF was able to move the ball for three quarters plus, not really throwing, mostly running. So I didn't understand that Georgia came out and was not trying to establish the run early on. At the end of the game, they finished with 26 rushing attempts. But Trevor, who you went out and you got out of the portal. You gave him good NIL money. He's considered one of the more talented backs in the country, top 15 at worst, maybe top 10 talent-wise. Why are you not coming out and establishing a run against a team that showed that they could be had? Like, I didn't understand the game plan. I didn't understand how Georgia came out in this game on either side of the ball. None of it made sense. It's almost like somebody was overthinking the room.
Right.
Like, oh, they're going to try and do something different. No, Jalen Milroe's going to run, and their defense can be had up front if you're willing to have them, and y'all just wouldn't do it.
Yeah, agreed. We're going to touch on Ryan Williams later. I have a question for you later in the show. So before we move on from this game, do we see this matchup later on in the season, or is this the one that got away for Georgia?
You can see it again, yes. I think Georgia's got a tough schedule. This is the toughest regular season schedule for Georgia maybe ever. And we said that coming into it. We had Sweet Milk on. We talked about that. They still got to go at Texas. You still got to play Tennessee. And we're going to touch on them in a minute, I'm assuming. You got to still go at Ole Miss. So there's a chance we see this rematch, but there's a chance where we don't. Because there are some SEC teams who have weaker schedules than Georgia does, and Georgia's margin of error has gotten a little bit smaller. This is what I will say, though, that's good for Georgia. If they were to lose a second game and they end up in that third spot in the SEC, that actually might be better off for them. I don't think we got a chance to get into this before, but really, you really want to be in that 5 spot in the playoff. And so whoever comes in third in the SEC probably going to get that 5 spot. So it's not the end of the world. It's the new 12-team playoff. You could lose a couple of games and still get in there. So world ain't crashing down for Georgia, and there's a chance they see Alabama again in the SEC championship.
Yeah, they got to step it up because you struggle at Kentucky and now this. So hopefully, not hopefully, Kirby will figure it out. They got the talent. They'll show up. Let's move on. Let's kind of go back to Thursday night. We got to talk about your Canes. At home against Virginia Tech. They squeezed one out 38-34 on a controversial, most would say, I don't think it was that controversial, to be honest. I trolled a little bit about it, but I don't think it was that controversial of a call. It was pretty obvious after you go back and watch the replay. But either way, the Canes pulled another one out, beginning 5-0. When's the last time you guys were 5-0? To start a season?
2017,
led by Cam Ward. And that's the only thing I had in my notes. I lost my notes, but that's the only thing, the name I had in my notes was Cam Ward. I feel like Cam Ward, it's I played with different quarterbacks before, and certain ones didn't give me confidence that I can go make any play. When you play with a quarterback with a confidence of a Cam Ward, the poise, the calmness in the pocket, he injects that kind of energy in you where you want to make plays. Like you see Restrepo laying on the ground making a catch. I don't know if that happens with other quarterbacks in the past. I could be overanalyzing it, but I think just Cam Ward in this not only in this offense but in this team or on this team, it's a trickle-down effect because the defense feeds off of that too. So, Cam Ward, man, he started out kind of slow, had some bad reads where he threw a couple interceptions right to the guys. But, when the game, he's got that ice in his veins. When it's go time, he's going to go make a play. And he made a couple plays down the stretch to kind of bring Miami over the hump and win their first ACC matchup. Talk about the game just a little bit. What did you take away from it? Obviously, there's a lot to work on, and I think this game is a good wake-up call for Miami. Like, nothing's gonna be handed to us. Yeah, we're started out the season really good, but the ACC is still a tough conference to play in, regardless of records. It's still a pretty tough conference week to week.
Yeah, no, 100%. It is a tough conference. And I think people will look at Georgia Tech's record. They were 2-2 coming into the game, now 2-3. But like Mario Cristobal said, they were a few field goals away from being an undefeated team. Both of those corners on Virginia Tech, they're going to the league. We know Virginia Tech puts out corners. If you don't know, then you don't really know college ball. They got both of their starting corners will play in the NFL one day. Virginia Tech is a solid team. I think Kyron Jones had a fantastic game. Kudos to him. He made plays when they needed plays to be made. Bashal Tuden is probably going to be, in the regular season, a top 3 running back that we face. He'll probably be a guy who makes it to the league at some point. It'll be one of those, like, where did this dude come from? It's like, oh, snap, he played at Virginia Tech. He's a solid guy. He can catch, he can run, all that good stuff made people miss. I think they're one of the best teams in forcing missed tackles in the country. We've missed a bunch of tackles. Miami's a good team. Good, not great. There are holes in this team. There are ways that this team can be taken advantage of. And I think Virginia Tech did a really good job at going at some of those weak spots. But what I will say, I think you're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. Kim Ward's confidence and his just unshakable faith in himself has really bled out into the rest of the team. It was actually the defensive coordinator was saying it. He looked in his guys' eyes and he felt that none of them flinched. They all felt like they could win it. I think that starts with Cam Ward because he thinks he can go do everything on the field after throwing 2 interceptions with a bad fumble. Literally interviewed, first question, he's like, yeah, I think I'm the best player in the country. And he honestly believes that. Now, whether he is or not, that's a whole different conversation, and other people will get to make that determination. The rest of the season will show what he is or isn't. But the fact that he actually believes that and he's got enough talent where you have to at least give him some credence on that, it has bled out into the rest of the team. And even in the night where he didn't play well, offense still put up 38 points. Like on an off night where he had 3 turnovers and they were all bad. All bad turnovers. Both picks were bad, in my opinion. The fumble, literally first possession, bro, in your own territory. You just trying to do too much and you're going to fumble. That's rough. But even despite that, still end up putting up 38 points. Defense was able to get enough stops. A lot to learn from, a lot of teaching tape, but I like the fact that this team were able to overcome what was a shaky night or a not great night. You're going to play close games. I always go back to it. The 2001 Miami Hurricanes, greatest college football team of all time. They needed a borderline miracle to beat Boston College, who was trash. You're going to play tough games. You're going to play some close games. I don't care how good you are. Florida State last year, a couple of overtime wins. 2019 LSU went down to the wire with Texas, played a close game with a couple other teams. Georgia struggled with, was it Kent State that year? When they won their back-to-back championship, you're going to play close games, and the good teams are able to overcome those and come on to win an end. So I was happy they were able to do that.
Yeah, you definitely need games like that. You don't want to blow everybody out. You need those tough games because it helps you become the team you are at the end of the season. If you just go through a season blowing everybody out, how are you going to know what it feels like to be down against a Georgia or whoever you got to play in the playoffs? So having these kind of games on top of the blowouts, kind of balances things out. Before we move on from this game, by the way, you had exceptional seats. You was in the skybox.
Hey man,
like a boss, man.
Hey man, I got blessed up.
Hey man,
I got blessed up. Shout out to my homie AG, man, who blessed me with the tip.
Must be nice, man. But Cam Ward, if I had to nitpick, I would say he tries to win every play, and sometimes that's not good as a quarterback. Sometimes you got to know. I'm not trying to compare him to Jameis, but Jameis, he literally tries to get something out of every single play. It doesn't know when to give up on a play. Do you think that's a detriment, or do you think that works as a strength?
It's both. And it's funny you mentioned that because the offensive coordinator talked about it in his weekly press conference. And what he said was, I can't love my players in slices. I got to love them all or none. And he's like, with Cam, with a gunslinger, with a guy who's a gamer like that, you're going to get some bad. It just is what it is. You want to try to minimize it as much as possible. And there are some times where you like, bro, hey, just go down. And then he makes an incredible play, right? The shovel pass that goes to Riley Williams that puts us in space to get the second to last touchdown scored. I'm like, hey, bro, just go down. And he's like, nah, I can still make a play. And he makes an incredible play, right? If he goes to New York at the end of the year, that'll be in his Heisman moment catalog or in his montage or whatever like that. He's just one of those people. He's never gonna say die. He's never gonna lay down. He's gonna play right through the whistle. And there's gonna be some bad that comes from it. There's also gonna be a lot of good that you get from it.
All right. I hated every moment of that game, by the way. But I cut the TV off when he made that shovel pass. So I knew it was over at that point. Man.
You know what time it was.
Yeah,
hey, I don't blame you, man.
I know y'all had those moments watching Jordan Travis. So now it's my turn to get the
100%
the short end of the stick. All right, moving on. Kentucky upsets Ole Miss. Ole Miss came into
Big
the
Blue.
season. Shout out to Big Blue, man. They've been playing a lot of tough games. Outside of that, I want to say that South Carolina game where it was just kind of anomaly, I would say. They've been playing a lot of teams tough. And to beat Ole Miss, who was ranked, I want to say 7th at the time, to go and six to go and beat them, who a lot of people, hyped up as a playoff team. They might still be a playoff team. But to beat that kind of squad, they dominated in the portal, had one of the best rosters on paper coming into the season. Best roster since Lane Kiffin has been there. If Lane can't win with this team, he can't win with any team at this point. That's just how I feel, because we're still talking Kentucky with that roster. Jackson Dart, he's one of the better quarterbacks in the country. And they went out and lost 17-20. It was a defensive battle. It came down to a missed field goal by Ole Miss. Is this team overrated, or is Kentucky better than what we're thinking?
I think Kentucky's better than people want to admit they are. But also at the same time, Ole Miss is underwhelming. You can't lose that game. This Ole Miss is not a team that is going to be there every year. They're just not. They're not going to be able to recruit to that level against their SEC competition. They're not going to be able to attract that amount of portal talent every offseason. This was a moment year. This was your lightning in a bottle year. Your 2019 LSU, your Washington last year, your Michigan State 2015 or whatever that was. You had to do your big one this year. And the fact that you lose at home to Kentucky, considering the rest of the schedule you got to play, like I mentioned it earlier, you still got to play Georgia.
That's a layup.
Like,
Kentucky's a layup.
One. That was your like this was supposed to be one of the cupcake ones, one of the easy ones, because coming down the line, you got LSU, you got Oklahoma, you got Georgia. Georgia was your mulligan. Kentucky wasn't your mulligan. Kentucky was not the one where it's like, hey, we can afford to lose that one and we're still good. No, because if you lose to Kentucky, how am I going to trust you to go into Death Valley and beat LSU? Like, how do I know you win at South Carolina?
Mm-hmm.
South Carolina, who took LSU to the wire. Like this is one of the worst losses that people aren't talking about. Not because a number 6 team lost to an undefeated team. It's because a team who was in a peak season has already fallen short in 5 weeks of some very, very lofty goals. People were talking national championship, playoff for Ole Miss. I think that just got a big wrench thrown into it, because if Kentucky can have them, you can't convince me that South Carolina, LSU, Oklahoma, Georgia can't also do the same to them. And they won't be able to run it back next year. Like, There's no running it back. Them guys are gone.
And people were talking about this roster as a top 5 roster in the country, across the board. And it's just the way they lost. Like their defense played a hell of a game for their standard. We know Ole Miss as an offensive juggernaut, and the fact that you couldn't get anything going offensively is what's a bit concerning. Like that's your identity at the end of the day. You're not a defensive team. You go out and score points, and a Lane Kiffin offense shouldn't be scoring 17 points any Saturday, especially against Kentucky. So that's the most concerning thing for me. Like you said, go ahead.
No, finish. Go ahead.
No, like you said, moving forward, that like this is your layup. You're not scoring. You're not going out there and lighting up the scoreboard against the LSUs, the Georgia of the world, everybody else on that schedule. So, this was another stepping stone game, and you go out there and basically put up 17 points. That's kind of embarrassing with that roster.
You can't have it, man. They went out, they spent good money on this roster, but imagine being one of those boosters. where you cut a big check because they sold you on Jackson Dart's coming back, Trey Harris is coming back. We're gonna go get Prince Umamielen, who's one of the best pass rushers in the SEC. We're gonna go get Walter Nolan, who is a former 5-star D tackle, first round draft pick prospect, and we're gonna go out and we're gonna win some in the SEC. And then you show up probably on Family and Friends weekend against Kentucky, and y'all boys lay an egg. Bro, if I'm a booster, somebody got to get me right.
Yeah, somebody got to explain it. Yeah. And it's safe to say Lane's on the hot seat. You don't win this year. What else can you do?
So now that you kind of mentioned that with Lane, because his name is
Florida.
very much swirling. If you're Florida, do you think twice about him now?
I don't, because Florida is different than Ole Miss. Like Ole Miss, that you push your chips to the center of the table. Florida got a lot of chips to work with. They could get an even better roster than Ole Miss. Like Lane Kiffin at Florida still poses a problem because of the resources. I think Ole Miss has resources, but they don't have resources to spare. They used up all their resources and tried to hit a home run. And so far, they got 2 outs. You got one more out left. Florida, on the other hand, they could play with money down in Florida. And I think Lane, he could have somewhat of success with the right defensive coordinator at Florida. Especially if DJ Lagway is still there. Imagine Lane Kiffin with DJ Lagway.
Yeah, I hear you. He still got to recruit, though. Lane he still has yet to show himself as a recruiter. And so at some point, you're going to have to recruit, man. You're going to have to.
You don't think he recruited well at Southern Cal?
He got fired, didn't he?
That's because he wasn't winning. So it might be developmental.
He's got the X's and the O's, which means he was missing the Jimmies and the Joes.
We'll see, because his best running back is playing at Ohio State now. He recruited him, so
Who they let walk? They let him walk. They said they didn't need him.
He wouldn't walk if he was at Florida.
They said they didn't need him.
Hey,
I'm
man,
just saying.
I don't like Lane anyway, so I hope he fails, because the thing about him, he's like that little brother that likes to talk smack and doesn't actually do anything. And at some point, Lane has to show up and do something.
He's such a good troll, though, man. He's a great troll. I love it.
That's all he's good for, at this point.
I love him as a troll.
But we'll see. The last game I wanted to touch on was that Colorado UCF game. That was a game that was kind of hyped up this past weekend. UCF had the best running game in the nation at home. Colorado's been playing some good ball, and I think they actually played their best their best game under Coach Prime. Went out and beat the UCF Knights 48-21, and it was led on the back of their defense. That defense showed up and played a hell of a game. We know what the offense could do, but I didn't expect this from Colorado's defense, especially in the trenches against one of the better or the best rushing unit in the country. Man, hats off to Travis Hunter at this point. He's got to be at the top of the Heisman list, whatever list you got out there. He's got to. We're live.
I'm the entertainer.
Are we not? Can't make it up.
Yeah, he's got to be at everybody's top of their Heisman list at this point. He's just a different level, playing on a different level right now. Shedeur Sanders, he's doing what he's doing. So hats off to Colorado and what they did this past weekend. What did you think of the game?
Yeah, same thing. It's the fact that the defense was able to do what it was able to do, be able to force some turnovers. Right, turnovers are the great equalizer. We know this Colorado team is going to be able to move the ball at some point. Some teams will be able to hold them down for a while. You know, maybe you can bully them up front. And, you know, obviously the premier teams in the country will be able to slow down what they got going. But teams on equal footing, I thought UCF would be able to do a better job defensively. I thought the front four would be able to get after two a little bit better than they were able to. And if you don't get after him, then their athletes are high-level athletes. Jimmy Horn is a high-level athlete. We all know what Travis Hunter is, high-level athlete. They have athletes out there in the edges. So if you're not going to be able to disrupt two, he also is an NFL quarterback. I'm glad that people are finally willing to admit and they're coming to terms with that. Two is an NFL quarterback. He's going to be a first-round draft pick. So if you aren't able to get to him and disturb Shedeur, he will carve you up because they have speed and they have athleticism out there on the edges. And only probably a handful of teams have the DBs to be able to hold those receivers down for a full 60 minutes. So I'm not surprised that the offense was able to find success, but their ability to stop the run, like you said, to keep KJ Jefferson really from causing too much damage, getting those turnovers. Kudos to the defense, man. Shout out to Prime. I told you, I'm with the Buffaloes this year. So
I don't want to hear that, man. I don't want to hear that.
I'm with them this year.
You ain't with them for real.
All y'all done jumped off the boat. Y'all jumped off the boat. Y'all so primed down the river.
You ain't
riding with them Buffaloes, man.
I don't recall that at the beginning of the season. I
You
don't recall that.
recall?
Nah, you got to pull the tape.
Stop
I don't recall that.
Stop it. Man, I
recall
told
that.
y'all I was on board. I'm on board because everybody else has jumped off board.
That's not a good reason.
Including you.
I'm staying off board.
Okay. I mean, they're going to lose some games, though. But they look good.
It was funny because KJ Jefferson, he had this game circled. There was a tweet out there. He had like some sort of note in his locker because everybody was saying Shedeur is the best quarterback in the country or a first round draft pick, and he had that up in his locker and he went out there and laid an egg. You know, so I don't know what that motivation did for him, but he didn't play really good. He had 2 picks. It didn't win the game. You know.
Yeah.
Do you believe? At home, you believe in this Colorado hype?
I believe that they are a fun team to watch. I believe that they have 2 top 5 players at their respective positions. I think they've got 2 first-round draft picks. Shedeur is a first-round pick. Super talented. I think he's an NFL quarterback. I don't have to talk about Travis Hunter. We all know he's a top 10 pick. Receiver, corner, whatever you want to do with him, he'll do it. They're fun to watch. Now, again, do I think they're going to win the Big 12? Probably not. I'm not going to move off of, I think the guys who are the odds-on favorites. I picked Utah to start the season. They lost. They need a quarterback. Cam Rising, bro, you're in your 12th season. It's either come back and be the quarterback of Utah, bro, or go get a day job.
Go get him CDLs. Yeah.
It's got to be one or the other, man. But if he comes back, I'm still going to ride with the Utah pick because I picked them based on him being healthy. You still got Kansas State out there who's pretty good. They were able to take care of Oklahoma State this weekend. So I don't think they'll win the Big 12, but they're fun to watch, and I'm going to keep watching them.
All right. I had another question on this game, but it's that's fake. You're not a Colorado fan. You're not with Colorado. I'm gonna have to ask Clint because I don't recall that, but we'll see.
Ask him. We can pull receipts.
All right. Well, that's all I had in terms of games, but I did have a few questions surrounding college football. The first one is these freshman dandies, these diaper dandies, these 2 wide receivers, and JJ Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams. Who do you think is the better receiver out of the 2?
Hold on. Who's better?
They got identical stats, so to speak. Ryan Williams, he's got more, less receptions, more yards. They got the same amount of touchdowns. And Ryan Williams played a better team so far.
I am going to roll with Jeremiah Smith. And here's why. The reason why I'm going to roll with Jeremiah Smith is he's more durable. He's bigger. He's a freak of nature physically, right? Walks in the door, 6'3", 6'4", probably close to 200 pounds. Like Ryan Williams is gonna do one of those fancy spin moves, and somebody gonna light him up, and he might not get up.
He's 17.
We know how old he is. It's the durability, and I think also he's a big play guy, and he's fun. He's very fun to watch, very electric. Jeremiah can do everything. You want to be physical, he will out physical you. If you want to press him in man coverage, he will run past you. Humongous hands. We saw him make 2 one-handed catches this past game. Who needs 2 hands? I can use just one. He can do everything, and there's nothing you can take from him. He's going to outrun you. He'll out-physical you. He'll out-jump you, everything. Ryan Williams, to me, is more of a mold of a Jameson Williams, which is really, really good. It's incredible. Fantastic talent. But I think of a Jeremiah Smith along the molds of the Calvin Johnsons, the Andre Johnsons, where they can run past you, they can run through you, they will jump over you. There's nothing you can do with guys of that ability and that physical presence.
Yeah. I mean, you can't go wrong with either of them. But I'm with you. I'm taking the physical freak, because not only is there, you've seen receivers that are just physical freaks and don't have the natural skill set to play wide receiver, but he's a natural wide receiver first, and he just so happens to be 6'4", 220.
He's huge. Bro, he's like the next Megatron, man.
And he's only a
should
freshman.
Not be able to run and jump at that size the way he does. And he's also a freshman.
Right. And I love Ryan Williams and the way he could contort his body. Like that spin move that he made, I've never seen that kind of spin move, and being able to continue going full speed, so he has abilities that Jeremiah doesn't have. But when you look at the ceiling of both of them, you could potentially be talking about Jeremiah Smith for years to come in the NFL, and potentially putting on a yellow jacket eventually, or a gold jacket eventually. So he's one of those type of talents,
I agree.
So I'm with you on that. Last thing I had, give me your top 4 Heisman hopefuls. No specific order.
I hate that you're asking me to do this.
Do you want me to start, or?
Oh, all right. Can I give my diatribe first before I answer?
Go ahead.
My diatribe about this before I answer is that, why are we talking about the Heisman in Week 5?
Because it's college football.
Let's say that Colorado goes on to lose 6 of their next 7 games. Travis Hunter's not winning a Heisman, right? If they lose 4 games, Travis is not winning a Heisman. You can't lose that many games and win a Heisman. You just can't, unless you're a quarterback and you're breaking records. Jalen Daniels did it last year. It was just a no-brainer. They lost 3 games, though, and that came up in the conversation. So that's why I don't want to do it. But I will do it. I'll play along. So you want top 5 or 4? You said 4 or 5.
I did a top 4, because this 4 that go to New York, right? Top 5.
So right now, top 5 Heisman candidates. So Travis Hunter, of course.
Okay.
Cam Ward, Ashton Genty. Nobody's talking about Ashton. That boy's a dog
from Florida.
He's a dog, man. I don't know how we let that boy go way out there to Timbuktu to play college football. Shout out to Ashton Genty. He is balling out of his mind. Jalen Milroe, you got to put him in there. Like, you have to at this point. What his team is doing, what he's doing, you got to put Milroe in the conversation. And then 5, Shador. Put Shador in there.
Okay.
Give me 2 Buffaloes.
I'm with you for the most part. Shout out to Ashton Genty as well. He's 155 yards away from breaking 1,000 yards already. It's like Week 5. So that's nuts. And I think he needs to get more national recognition, because he deserves it. So I got Travis Hunter, Cam Ward, Ashton Genty. Put Ryan Williams in there just for the hype.
You're putting Ryan. You're a receiver guy. You're only doing that because you're a receiver.
I got to shout out my receiver, man, because I saw a stat today. He's at the same pace that Devontae Smith was at when he won his Heisman. So you got to put him in there, right? At least right now. And give me Jalen Milroe. I think Jalen Milroe, what he could do with his leg and his arm, it sets him apart from Shedeur. He might put up a lot more numbers in terms of what he could do on the ground as well as through the air. So give me Jalen Milroe to close it out. And the reason why we're doing Heisman rankings so early in the season because it is college football and there's at least 3 different lists that go out through the year. So the first quarter of the season, second quarter, and the third. So you gotta have talks about it early. That's all I have for college football, man. What else do you have? Do you have anything else, or you want to kind of just roll this thing right in?
Just real quick. We don't have to spend a whole lot of time on them. Number 16 Notre Dame was able to hang on to beat number 15 Louisville. Great matchup. One of those like the weird ACC thing. Where Notre Dame is not a member of the ACC, but they play ACC games. It was a good game. Notre Dame quarterback threw some touchdowns, which he don't do that very often. So shout out to him for throwing a couple touchdowns. Tyler Shuck, couple turnovers. They still had a chance to win it, but Notre Dame was able to hang on. That was a marquee win. I feel like Notre Dame needed that, especially after that Northern Illinois loss. They don't play a lot of big games, a lot of ranked teams, so they needed to get this done.
Shout out to Notre Dame. Shout out to Riley Leonard. I don't think
Riley Leonard, that's his name.
Yeah. I don't think he will be he'll probably go late 5th round or something. He hasn't showed anything through the air. So shout out to him.
I'm thinking undrafted free agent.
Undrafted. Oh.
Yeah, I can't see it. He can't throw the ball, man. He don't throw the ball, but we don't spend a lot of time on that one.
Yeah, I was gonna say something, but I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not gonna review my Florida State Seminole. It is what it is. I've checked out, but I'm still watching. Take it for what it is.
You want to quickly touch on them because I popped up in Penn State real quick. Now Penn State was able to take care of number 19 Illinois 21-7. Penn State just smothered them. Right, they went like old school Penn State, led with defense. That was a good game. Illinois is a good team. Illinois is a good team with a good defense. They're going to be a frustrating out in the SEC. I feel like they're like Missouri of last year, where you rather not play them if you can avoid them because they're going to make it tough on you.
Yeah, and it's what Penn State does. They're on par for their 10-3 record.
Yep.
I'm interested to see what they do when they play the bigger dogs in that conference. So, yeah, I don't expect anything else out of Penn State than what they're doing right now. They probably need to lean more on that running game because they Singleton and what's the other kid name in that backfield? They got a good
Patron Allen.
They got a good 2-headed monster there. So, teams like that, that's what you do, run the ball on them.
Run the ball. Penn State, run the ball. Run the ball.
As far as my nose, man, did you want me to give you a breakdown on them, or?
I mean, whatever bits you like to speak on, it wasn't a great showing.
Yeah, you went into SMU's first ACC game and they beat you 42-16 at home. We rolled out DJU again. And he did a lot of DJU things that he's been doing all season. There's really nothing to really the fan base got hyped about the defense based off of the Cal game, and then the defense went out and just opened up the floodgates and let your old guy was Rashad Smith run
Rashad Smith, hey man,
run all over us, So
hey, tough.
He said he circled this game on his calendar because he was never able to beat Florida State at the U, so he took it personal, and that he did. He ran all over us. Look, man, this team is just not good. There's nothing to look to point to at this point to say that's a good thing that we could build off of. This team is just not a good team across the board. And we mentioned Cam Ward at the top of the show as far as he's a leader that someone could look to and have that confidence. There's nobody that you could look to on this team and say, I could follow that guy. There's no leaders. So
Yeah.
when you don't have any leaders on a bad team, things could spiral. And that's where we're at. Things are spiraling. We lost a commit today. There's more to come. The fan base is talking about Brocktober.
It's Brocktober.
I don't believe in Brocktober one bit. He's trash. I know the emotions. The emotions get involved where the current starting quarterback is trash, so they're yelling for the backup. I'm here to tell you the backup ain't much better than the DJU. And Luke Kromenhoek isn't ready to step in there and play. And I feel bad for Brock that he gets rolled out in such bad situations, because you get rolled out against Clemson, you got rolled out against Georgia, you got rolled out into the ACC championship game. Brock really hasn't had a fair shot to kind of ease his way into his college career. He's been tossed into a lot of bad situations, and Clemson coming to town ain't gonna be good this week. So I'll be watching. I'll have Crown or tequila, one or the other, or both. The way this season
have all of it.
And
have all of it.
Yeah, we suck.
I do have a question. I do have one question. So I think that will, whenever you get to this point, that'll be really the dam breaking entirely. Do you think the team has quit on the season?
Based on the beginning to practice runs, some of them was quit because there was only one guy running with Mike Norvell today.
How many guys normally run with him? I saw somebody say something about that.
It's typically most of the D linemen, and it was Dante Anderson, who is like third on the third D.
That name.
Yeah, he's a 4-star kid out of Miami that walked on. So so I think some of the older guys kind of checked out. A lot of the transfers that aren't entwined in this team kind of checked out. Yeah. But we got a lot of young guys that just trying to see opportunities. I think they're still locked in, but a lot of the older guys, I think, especially after this week, man, this will be like the barometer to see who really is done. So because it doesn't get any better. It don't get any better. You got Clemson, Miami's way in. You got Notre Dame. It don't get any better. Florida might beat us at this point.
That's why I asked. Yeah. Because literally, if they're quitting, then and you're playing what looks to be the tougher part of your schedule coming up. Like that's where it could really get bad. I mean, yeah, you never want to get to that point where guys are quitting on the season.
Yeah, I get my theory on Prime doesn't look so bad after all. I'm gonna say that before we move on.
It does it.
Before we move on,
it actually does it, which is crazy.
Yeah, I mean.
That's actually kind of crazy.
I'm not calling for Mike's head yet. I do think he needs to make changes, but that's for another pod.
Okay.
All right, man. You said you had some NFL content before we get out of here. What you got?
The Bucks. Shout out to the Bucks. Shout out to Tampa Bay. So the Bucks were able to get a 33. Bay!
Tampa!
Bay!
Shout out to the Bucks.
Bucks get a 33-16 victory over the Eagles. Really, really good showing, except for Saquon Barkley having a few big runs late in the game. The Bucks just handled business. They dominated Philly. I'm assuming you got a chance to watch the game. I know you are usually very critical of Todd Bowles, critical of the defense, the corners. How did you come out of that game feeling? Because I came out feeling incredible.
I mean, let's be fair to the Eagles, first of all. They were without their two best wide receivers. So
you can hear that loud and clear.
So, I'm not going to say it was easy to defend them, but it kind of made Todd's job a little bit more easier when you could just pin your ears back and stop Saquon and hope that Johnny Wilson and Dotson or whoever they had at wide receiver beat you. But that's not the takeaway from what we did. Led by the old guy in the middle of the defense. He had 2 sacks on Sunday. And he had some crazy amount of tackles for his career. He went over like 1,000 tackles in his career. One of 2 Buccaneers to do that, and the other one was Hall of Famer Derek Brooks. Your coworker, by the way.
Shout out to him.
Yeah, so it was the Bucks defense. They're looking good. I actually started them in my fantasy, man. I'm still not sold on your guy at corner, McCollum, yet. He did give up a
Should
touchdown.
be.
He gave up a touchdown,
Nah,
but
it's gonna happen, man. It's the pros.
collectively, we're still without Whitfield. When he gets back, you can only imagine how this defense is going to be, where he gets to roam the field and come down in the box. But I like what I saw from the defense collectively as a unit, from top to bottom.
Okay. What about Bake? I feel like this is an up Bake week. Are you with me that Bake is up and down, right? We agree on that.
I'm not all the way with you, but I get what you're saying.
Oh, come on.
Bake is one of those guys that we talk about that try to win every play. And he has moments where he's just trying to do too much. But I think under control Bake is what we get most of the times. And within this offense, he's got the veteran guys around him where they have that connection. And I think we get good Bake most of the times. And Bake has been one of the better quarterbacks in the league right now so far this season.
Ain't saying much. It's been a lot of low quarterback play across the league. Guys hurt. Ain't saying much.
Hey man, you gotta take I'll take it. Bake ain't look bad.
I'm gonna take it.
You being too hard on Bake.
Stop it.
You're being too hard on Bake.
I'm not being too hard. We paid Bake. You need to be more consistent. That's showing last week. He had the Broncos looking like the 86, 85 Bears. Like, come on, man. Come on, Baker. I just need the consistency from Baker. That's all I need. Just be consistent.
Did you see what the Broncos did to Aaron Rodgers?
I don't care about that. They did. They held it just at 9 points. So, but I'm not buying it. I ain't buying it with the Broncos. Not buying it.
So
moving along, we can keep rolling.
Okay.
So I don't want to talk about the game. I just want to talk about the guy. So the Washington Commanders beat down on the Cardinals 42-14. Is Jaden Daniels running away with Rookie of the Year?
You know how I feel about Caleb Williams. He's a bust. I'm sticking to that. I'm not.
How do you find a way to take a jab at Caleb on a question about Jaden Daniels?
It was a layup, man. It was a layup. You handed it to me. You handed it to me. When you talk about Rookie of the Year,
oh boy, there are other rookies out there. Caleb's not the only other rookie.
He's the first rookie that came off the board, so I have to take a jab. So Caleb, Caleb isn't looking good. And when you think
won, he looked fine.
That's fine. He's out there missing.
Fine.
Okay. You know how I feel about him. So when you think rookie of the year, you think quarterbacks, and that's why I took a jab. There's no other rookie quarterback out there that's doing what they're doing. Jaden Daniels, he looks like he's still at LSU. His deep ball is looking amazing. He's dropping dimes left and right, and his legs is the difference maker in his game. Really, like he's sneaky fast. And the accuracy, man. I just hope he doesn't get hurt because he's really frail. But if he stays healthy and he's doing what he's doing through the air as well as on the ground, and he's got a really good running game in Brian Robinson to help him out. So that's always a good aid as a rookie quarterback when you have a good running game to lean upon. And he's starting to build a connection with Teddy McLaurin. So I think, I think he's running away with it for sure. Because I'm trying to think of another rookie out there that's gonna maybe pose a threat. But who can you think of really?
No, not really. Maybe Malik Neighbors.
Yeah, Malik Neighbors. I was gonna throw him out there, but
hey, man,
it's hard. It's hard to do that as a receiver, though. You got to put up crazy number.
No, it is. It's very tough. Yeah, I think Jaden Daniels is definitely setting the pace right now, and if he continues on the trajectory he's on, not only will he be Rookie of the Year, he's going to be a problem for the league. And then, like you said, he's got Brian 50 Cent Robinson in the backfield with him, who's also an issue. Terry McLaurin solid. Offensive line is doing his job. You really can't knock anything. They're fun to watch. I'm having a good time watching the Washington football people. The Baltimore Ravens plastered the Buffalo Bills 35-10. Derrick Henry goes for 199 on the ground. Shout out to him on my fantasy football team. Overreaction, underreaction, no reaction to this game. Where are you at on the Ravens blowing out the Bills like this?
Well, first of all, I know you was watching this game with a smile on your face because it is against Josh Allen and Lamar is your guy. So once again,
I said that argument was going to end this year.
Once again,
that argument was ending this year.
Yeah, once again, Lamar proved that he's better than Josh Allen, and we need to kill the noise about Josh Allen not only being the face of the league and the next great quarterback, and maybe start talking about Lamar more and what he's done. He's now had 2 MVPs. He's on the cusp of trying to make a Super Bowl run again. So, and let's look forward. Kansas City ain't looking that good. Now we know it's Kansas City and they'll eventually figure it out. But the Ravens,
well, they're 4-0. They are winning at least.
It's shaky. It's a shaky four.
Sexy.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not sexy. And Rashee Rice is now out for quite a while.
Which was side note. That was a crazy play. The fact that Pat Mahomes threw a pick and took his knee out. But the fact that the Ravens, I know you're probably going to touch on it, but if they go and get like another receiver like a Devontae Adams and King Henry is doing what he's doing on the ground, because he's back. Derrick Henry, he's the leading rusher in the league right now, and he looks like old Derrick Henry. If you get that going, and Lamar continues to play the way he is, I don't think it's an overreaction to say that the Ravens could make a serious run at this thing this year.
If the Ravens go get Devontae Adams, they're gonna be Super Bowl. Well, they'll be top 3 Super Bowl odds. That's the only thing they're missing. I don't know why people thought King Henry was gonna just fall off a cliff. Like, he's still a freak of nature. On that long touchdown run, did you notice how much bigger he was than the guys he was running away from?
And like his running style, he just runs straight up, and they said he ran like Eric Dickerson. And imagine a 6'4", 240-pound guy outrunning everybody.
Bro, that's unreal.
Yeah. So this was the perfect marriage for Derrick Henry. The fact that you could land at a team like the Ravens, that's all they want to do is run the ball. So if he could stay, health is always a big thing in football. If this team can stay healthy, go get a receiver like a Devontae Adams who wants out in Oakland. I believe in this team, man. I believe in this team. And shout out to Willie Taggart. He somehow just finds his way to continue to fall forward.
And that's when we move along. So who should trade for Devontae Adams? So some of the rumored teams that are out there, you got the Jets, people are talking about Saints, Chiefs. I'm throwing the Ravens in there. Nobody else is mentioning the Ravens, but I'm going to throw them in there because I'm going to continue to wish for Lamar to get a legitimate wide receiver 1 until it happens. Who do you think should be trading for Devontae Adams? Or who should Devontae Adams be trying to get to?
So let me answer your last question. I think Devontae Adams is trying to get to Aaron Rodgers. He's trying to, you know how you got a girl and you left her, and then all the other girls after that ain't the same, and all you could think about is that one girl. I think the grass ain't always green on the other side when you leave that one girl. So he's trying to get back to his baby. He's trying to get back to Aaron Rodgers. I think because that's when Devontae Adams was at his best, and they just know each other. And then not only is the Jets, they have Garrett Wilson on one side of the field. If you get a guy like Devontae Adams, there's a lot of one-on-one going on. So I think that would be his top target, is trying to get back to the Jets. But how bad is the Raiders looking to trade within their division? So
that's a good question.
I know Lamar, we pray for Lamar to get a quarterback or a receiver every year. But I want that to happen, but I don't think the Ravens are willing to do what it takes for it to happen. Like we say it year in and year out. All you got to do is move this and that, and you can get a good receiver. But the Ravens, they're not going to overcompensate or do too much to try to get him. They'll make an effort, but I don't think they're gonna throw a first round draft pick or throw out I said Mark Andrews and Zay Flowers. I don't think they're gonna move certain assets to go get a Devontae Adams. They'll give it a shot, but I don't think they're gonna give it a real shot. So that's why I don't think they will get them. I can see the Chiefs as well, man, because you lose your best wide receiver. Travis Kelce needs to stop dating Taylor Swift and get his act together.
Oh my goodness,
he just looks terrible right now. And Xavier Worthy, he's just hot and cold. 1 week he might go nuts, and the next week he gets jammed up. So you need a legit number one. So I can see the Chiefs as well.
My issue with the Jets, I got two issues with the Jets. One, what are the Jets willing to give up for Devontae Adams?
They don't. You gotta come up off some first round draft picks.
That's part of that. And the Jets have traded a lot of their picks. Are they willing to go do that again? Because here's the other thing. Here's the other piece of that. Aaron Rodgers' contract only goes through next year. He's got some other years on it, but those are void years. So he's really only expected to be in New York one more season. Are you going to New York to the Jets, who have no backup plan from a quarterback perspective, who would have to give up first-round draft picks to get you to potentially be there another 5 years, and Aaron Rodgers is potentially going up the next year? I don't know if I'm doing that if I'm Devontae Adams.
I mean, that's a good way to look at it, But when you're asking for a trade, you don't really have the power to go where you want to either. You
have the power to say where you don't want to go.
You make suggestions, but at the end of the day, it's what works best for the team.
I hear you. Now, I don't think the Raiders will trade him in their division to the Chiefs. I just can't see why you would ever do that. That doesn't make any sense. But if I'm Devontae, I'm trying to go somewhere where I can be with a quarterback who's got some years on him. Like Aaron Rodgers, at best, maybe has 2 more good years. Maybe. And he doesn't look amazing right now. He looks fine. He looks good. He's still doing some Aaron Rodgers type things. But he's not top 5 in the league right now, quarterback. So if I'm Devontae Adams, like, why am I breaking my neck to get over there? And that guy's probably gone a couple years.
So the thing I would say to that is, what's my option that's going to make me look the most valuable still? Because I'm also at the back end of my career, and I know what works and what doesn't. And I could go there for 2 years with my guy and put up the numbers I know I'm capable of, and maybe get another contract elsewhere with a younger guy that's going to be there. So would you rather go to where it's a guaranteed thing? Nothing's really guaranteed, but you got that connection. You got that connection. So if I'm going to bet on myself, I'm going to bet on myself with something I know that could potentially propel me to another contract. You could go to Lamar, and Lamar doesn't have a good connection with you. Even though he's a good quarterback, the connection might be off. You go to Pat Mahomes, he spreads the ball around a lot. You might not get the touches that you want. But if you go to the Jets, your guy's going to try to get you those back shoulders that you're so good at and get you those, touches that you're used to. So that's another way to look at it.
I see that. Do you think if he goes to the Jets, all of a sudden now they're going to be the favorites, or they got top 2 odds in the AFC to win it?
I think so. So because I'm starting to think Garrett Wilson isn't a number 1 guy. Even though he's super exciting, I don't think he could take on the load of being a number 1 wide receiver in this league. But if you put Devontae Adams into that room, he could take on that number one name, and Garrett Wilson could still do his thing. And then Breece Hall and Braylon Allen, who I think a lot of people will talk about, in the next couple of weeks to come, because he's a really good 1-2 punch with Breece Hall. So, and then that defense is one of the better defenses in the league. So I think Devontae Adams can make this team a real contender. They're not missing a lot.
All right, we'll see. So that's all I had on NFL. I do have one other question to get us out of here. It's a non-football question. So is there anything else NFL before we jump out of that?
Is there nothing really crazy this week. Oh, no, I'm not going. That's a personal thing, you know. I just want my guy Jameis to start over Deshaun Watson because I think Deshaun Watson, he's done at this point.
He looks fine. Deshaun look fine.
He looks fine. I didn't think so.
He look better than what you're gonna get out of Jameis. I mean, I'm a Jameis guy, but
you're not a Jameis guy.
You're not. Oh, I am. Jameis is a national treasure, and I hope he goes into podcasting. He needs a TV show when he's done playing football.
Okay. Oh, and what do you think of the Dolphins? I gotta take a shot at Clint team real quick.
I mean,
what has to be done in Miami?
All the people who were disrespecting Tua, I hope you see what this team is without him. All those people who thought you could plug in anybody and Tua wasn't good and Tua wasn't this and Tua wasn't that. Well, look what they look like without Tua.
Yeah, that offense you can't just plug anybody in that offense because there's a lot of motions, there's a lot of moving pieces. You have to have a maestro at quarterback. Not the best quarterback in the league, but a guy that knows how to run that system. Because just the ball handling at quarterback in that system, it's not as easy as it looks. You're right. Tua makes it look easy. And we jump on Tua a lot for missing certain throws or not winning certain games, but looking at it now, this offense ain't that easy to run.
No, and Tua deserves respect. But of course, it's always when you ain't there is when they now want to appreciate and they respect what you brought to the table. I've been high on Tua. I don't think he was, a world beater. He was never going to win an MVP, but he was not a bum. He wasn't trash like people tried to act. And you cannot just plug any quarterback in that system and it works. It ain't San Francisco where you can be on your third string quarterback and you still can go compete for an NFC championship. No, it's not that. They need a legitimate quarterback. Tua was that. So I hope people now realize that, but I hate it's come so late. And are they going to say anything about him like ever again, or are we just all going to pretend like he doesn't exist? He going to go upstairs like Richie Cunningham's sister in Happy Days and just never come back down and we all act like it didn't happen?
I think I know you're not a fan of the Guardian, but I think he needs to put the Guardian on and he'll be back. I think
he shouldn't come back.
He shouldn't come back, but the way he's wired, unfortunately, he'll be back. But they should make it mandatory for him to wear the Guardian.
I guess. All right.
I thought you had one question to get us out of here.
The New York Knickerbockers trade Julius Randle, Dante DiVincenzo, and a draft pick for Karl Anthony Towns. You sat back.
I think this was a dub for the Knicks, man. Like Julius Randle is expandable. Dante DiVincenzo, whatever his name is. I can't even get his name out, but he's also expandable as well. You get one of the better big men in the league. Not only can cats stretch the floor, now you got a dangerous pick and roll with him and Bronson. So this was definitely a W for the Knicks. And what's my guy name from Villanova, who just does all the dirty work, gets all the rebounds.
Josh Hart. You still keep him. He's an X factor on this team. I think this is a W for the Knicks, and it's gonna do well in the East. Yeah, that's all I got for that. Yes.
Man. I think it's they should be cheering in New York because they could potentially make a run at this thing. Now,
100% the New York Knicks can make a run at it.
Now, Cat has to play like a true center at times because he likes to stray away from down low. He's got to use some physicality, and make some of those tough buckets because he likes to play on the wing way too much. But if he plays similar to AD, get your buckets outside, but also dominate on the interior because he's good on the boards. He's good at blocking shots, and we know you can shoot the ball. You don't have to make that the focal point of your game. Now, if he could balance this thing out where he plays down low a lot more and becomes more dominating down low, the Knicks can make a run.
I don't think he has to because he's in the East now. See, and that's the thing about it where I agree the Knicks completely won this trade. Karl Anthony Towns has not consistently shown himself to be the physical force. He's not a bully on the block. He's not going to throw his weight around a ton. He'll do it sometimes, but he doesn't have to because it's not the West. You don't have to deal with the Joker. You don't have to deal with an Anthony Davis. You don't have to scrap with a scrappy Sabonis. You don't have to deal with the height and the length that's in Oklahoma.
You got Embiid out there,
big,
though.
That's it, though. It's only Embiid, though. So if that's the only big that I got to deal with is Embiid a handful of times during the year and maybe a single playoff series, give me that. Give me that. Like, I think the Knicks absolutely came up. I cannot believe they got somebody to take Julius Randle. I've been saying it for at least 2 years. They have got to get rid of Julius Randle. No disrespect. I like Julius. He was originally a Laker, so he'll always, get some love from me. He just wasn't it in that system. Him wanting to be a ball handler and a step-back three-point shooter is not what they needed. Man, I think Cat is a much better fit. I think he has a way higher ceiling than Julius. I think he's better now. He's gonna be better tomorrow. He's gonna be better than him in 2 weeks. I think the Knicks absolutely came up, and you just made a playoff run without a Julius Randle, without a legitimate big who's a scoring threat, really without another consistent scoring threat. Period. You're hoping DiVincenzo goes off, and you're hoping Josh Hart goes off. Hat can go be a Batman. A Robin. He's a Robin. You got your Batman, my guy. Brunson.
Got OG
hey, man,
still there. OG Anunoby still there.
You were able to keep Anunoby. I think the Knicks are a problem in the East. I'm gonna leave it there for a moment. I'm gonna leave it there for now.
Hey.
I almost said something left field, but I'm gonna leave it there for now, man. I think the Knicks just came up though.
Hey, man, I ain't mad at it. And the thing about Julius Randle, he always had superstar syndrome, where he thought he was better than what he actually was. Like, he would take try to take the last shot. So it's good that they got him up out of there, man. We do have to talk about the Lakers eventually. We won't do it tonight, but it's going to be an interesting season for the Lakers, to say the least.
Yep.
But we'll touch on it in another episode, man. Who does Miami have this week, Cal?
We got to go out there. We got to face the Calgorithm, the woke Bears. 10:30, Pac-12 after dark. It gets spooky out there.
A 10 p.m. game, man. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Hey,
why is game day going out there? Why is game day taking this game? You got Iowa, Ohio State. You got who is it going at Texas A&M? Missouri's at Texas A&M. Why are they going to Miami and Cal? That makes no sense. They want people to hate watch Miami and wait for us to falter so everybody can throw dirt in our grave. That's what it is. It's the Calgorithm.
Nah, that's how they're treating us. Why are we on prime time against Clemson? Stick us high noon or something. Stick us at 11:30. Stick us at 9 a.m. Yeah, they just showed a commercial. Why do we have a commercial?
Box office boys, man. That's what you said. Y'all the box office boys.
We still are. Regardless of what happens to us, everybody wants to see us win. Everybody wants to see us fail. Either way, you're gonna watch us. Either way.
Okay. I'll be doing a lot of this.
By the way, I meant to ask you, what does that mean? Seriously.
Apparently he had a coach when he was at Incarnate Word where that coach had coached somebody else, a kid who had did it, and the coach started doing it. So Cam picked up on it, and the players picked up on it. And when he went to Washington State, his teammates liked it, so he kept doing it. And he came to Miami, and the teammates liked it, so he just kept doing it. But it's taking off. It was an NFL player who did it this week. Shador did it this week. That's why I got it, man. Miami trendsetters. When Miami's good, we set trends. Turnover chain, running through the smoke, 4 fingers at the end of the third quarter. When Miami's good, we set trends, man. It just is what it is.
So nobody knows what it means. It's just provocative. Got it.
No, it isn't. Exactly. It gets the people going.
All right.
It gets the people going.
Hey, man, wish we could have Pump on this episode, but we got it done, man. It wasn't that short of an episode, but it's always a pleasure just talking ball with you. Hopefully your Canes lose and we pull one out pull an upset against Clemson at home.
That's terrible.
As always, I'm the one and only Unc Shay, the real Unc Shay. Play all the freshmen. And the man to my left is the one and only Turnpike Breeze. Southeast Breeze. Breeze.
Okay.
And we out.